Hello and welcome to the Soul Shaking Love podcast. I'm Valerie Green from CoachValerieGreen.com, and this podcast is dedicated to bringing you the world's expert teachers on how to build a mind, body, and spirit connection, both with yourself and with your true love. And so today I'm really excited to be interviewing inner child expert Anat Perry. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me. So great to be here.
Yes, and we were just chatting beforehand about just how important it is to do the inner work in order to rewrite your love script from childhood, which is what we'll be talking about today. Because, we don't enter adulthood with a blank slate in terms of our programming for love, which Anat will go into. That we inherit what she calls a love script from our childhood, and it tells us what love looks like, how much we're allowed to give and receive, how we should express ourselves, what feels safe. And so, with 20 years of experience in emotional healing and leadership, Anat has really mastered. She gives classes and workshops, and she mentors coaches, and she teaches people why you have this love script, where it comes from, and how to heal it, so that you can really experience being loved and loving without losing yourself, which so many of us get caught in patterns doing. I know that I have. So I'm just so excited to dive into this topic. So
Yeah,
um,
me too.
we can just start out by talking about what is this love script and where does it come from? And, I'm excited to hear all about it.
Yeah, so again, it's not necessarily only your love script. It is a script that we all inherit as far as everything that you learn by the time you're 7 years old, like as far as your development goes. And you learn it predominantly from mom and dad by what you see, what you hear, and what you feel energetically from them, either how they feel about themselves or how they make you feel. And you either copy, do the same, or you rebel, you do the opposite. Neither one are really you.
Mm-hmm.
And so the specifically rewriting our love script is rewriting the script that we learned about what love is. What a loving relationship is, what a loving marriage is, partnership, all that. And it was modeled to us. And I could see it in my own journey of my father being someone who was, the provider for the family, but that also meant that he always worked. And he wasn't really home much. He was in charge of running a hotel. So you could imagine 24/7, the hotel's open. So he was gone a lot. And as a little girl, there's certain things developmentally that you need from dad that you can't get from mom. Mom represents an extension of self. She models everything to you about yourself, how to treat yourself, take care of yourself, nurture yourself, see yourself, talk to yourself, self, right? Father is everything that's not the self, others in the world, and your first experience of something outside of you loving you. So you can imagine if he's my role model for others in the world and he's barely around and not spending one-on-one time with me, what type of beliefs I formed around others being there for me, about being seen by others, about, you know, having connection to others and love from others. And so to me, it formed these beliefs of you don't matter, you're invisible, men will always put something else before you.
Wow. Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. And first of all, I mean, I want to clarify. I think what you're talking about is archetypes, because if people were raised by two men or two women, there's usually an archetype of a caretaker with, or just raised by a single parent with more masculine energy and more feminine energy. And so I imagine that what you're saying is the feminine energy partner really models your relationship with yourself and all the beliefs about whether you deserve to take care of yourself, whether your feelings are important, how your self talk is, whether you feel empowered. And that the masculine caretaker models your relationship with others in the world and how do you relate to others, and are you important to others, and should you be visible, and is it okay to speak up for yourself around others, and do you matter to others, and all of that, right? So is that what you're saying?
Actually, not.
Oh, okay.
It actually is more biological and chemical. So, when you are in your mom's womb and developing, uh, you are feeling her energy, you're hearing her voice over a course of 9 months, 10 months, that by the time you come out, there's this relationship to her voice and her energy that feels familiar, that doesn't feel separate than you, that feels like an
Right.
extension of you. And dad, most likely being the first person outside of you and mom that held you and was beaming and ushing and gushing with so much energetic force of love, right? Like the nurse and the doctor that held you, it did not quite feel like that.
Yes, of course.
uh, so it forms this relationship of like that energetic experience of experiencing that much force of love flowing to you, that you're like, wow, this is the first experience I have of something outside of me loving me. But to touch on what you're speaking on, when there's a situation that uh, you're raised by a single mom, let's say, she got pregnant, you never met your dad, all that. Yes, somebody else can play that role a lot of times, or there could be what happens commonly is a gap in development. There's
Right.
just this like, there was just never a teacher for that. I just have no idea how to be when it comes to that. It was always a substitute teacher. The teacher wasn't actually there. So it's a
Mhm.
gap in development. When it's, two women, one of them carried the baby. So that tends to be, right, the one that represents the self, the mom, and the other one more plays the role of the father. And
Mhm.
when it's two men, which does happen in this day and age now, that adopt a child, it's like any adoption. Um, and I have worked with adults that have adopted kids before. I've also worked with people that were adopted themselves. And it's a combination of, there is some wound there of knowing that they were separated from their source, right? From mom. And there is a lot of just taking on and learning from your caretakers. I worked with one client that adopted both her kids. And as we were working through stuff for her and her husband and their divorce and all that, she was like, oh my God, my kids are literally just like me growing up and my inner child and all that. So you do, take on learning from whoever is raising you, but there will be, and they do, and both her kids have like a certain wound that she knows like predates whatever she tried to do for them with them.
Right.
The good news is if you learned it, you can unlearn it. You can heal from all this. You can learn to reparent yourself.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for sharing that. So now it's more clear. So it sounds like everybody has this imprint from their mother,
Mhm,
that is even before we're born, that we're attuning to her energetically. And I
mhm,
know the research shows that the body does remember what it was like in the womb, even if we don't have
mhm,
conscious memory of it. So we're learning these unconscious beliefs based on how our mother takes care of herself, how she
mhm,
talks to us.
mhm.
I
Or
mean,
yeah,
how she talks to herself. I mean, if she
that
talks to
too.
us,
Oh,
like we're just
yeah,
being like entrained with that. Um,
yeah. And sometimes generationally, right? Like the
mhm,
impact of being in the womb, like grandmother, right? Like all
mhm.
past generations, like all that energy, if they didn't do the work to clear it, might be somewhere in your energetic field, in your DNA, in your epigenetics, right? So again, we can heal and transform all of it. It just takes the willingness to do the deep work.
Yes, exactly. And that like we have these original imprints, and then whoever our caretakers are, we learn from how they do it and also how they treat us, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now I think I understand what you're saying. So all of those, if I understand correctly, basically give us the programming for what we think love is,
Mhm.
how we relate to ourselves, how we relate to others. And if we're looking at love scripts, it's how we're able to give ourselves care and actually attune to others and create harmony with others, versus if unfortunately our parents don't know that, or God forbid, we're more abusive towards us, then we take on these beliefs that are shame based, right?
Yeah, and it could be that we took on beliefs just like them that are shame-based, or we create a survival strategy. So I didn't say that before. We copy, we rebel, or we have to create a way to survive. Like, oh, let's say your parent was really abusive, and you're just like, I'm never gonna let a man do that to me, like I saw my dad do to my mom. So I'm gonna be very controlling. I'm gonna need to
Mm-hmm.
be in control. I
Right.
have I have a I have a student in my certification program right now that is unlearning that. She's 40 years old now, unlearning that after, having like sexual abuse there from her father and seeing him be horrible to her mom. She's learning to feel safe now and learning how to let go of needing to control everything.
Right.
And she has a fiance, so she's just like, I know he would love for me to relax more and not feel that need. So it's tricky because it's not linear necessarily how it looks.
Right.
You can come from a divorced family and you could decide like, it's never going to be possible for me. Love is not for me. Or you could decide, well, I'm gonna be what my dad was never to my mom. I'm gonna be that perfect husband. And then they're in that archetype of I need to be perfect.
Right. Exactly. Right. So,
And they're rigid. There's no flow. There's no room for anything else to be possible. And they could still end up getting divorced.
mm-hmm.
Again, whether you copy, rebel, or survive, none of them are your true, authentic, higher self. So we can't run or fix things from our past. We can only heal, unlearn, and reparent them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what are some examples of these love scripts that are not authentic versus um, what would be authentic? If you can give some examples.
Yeah, so not authentic could look like um, being codependent. That was mine. I grew up in a home where my mom was a believer that you just got to think positive.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was just like, oh, you're fine. Just think positive. You're fine. Let's just go have fun. Just think positive. So she was always gaslighting my emotions. And therefore, I never learned how to tend to challenging emotions that I had. So I
Mm-hmm.
became very anxious being by myself all the time and needing validation externally, needing others to make me feel better, and forming that type of codependency in my friendships and romantic relationships. And combine that with my dad always working, thinking like I'm invisible, I don't matter. Like the way my script then looked was, well, I'll do anything to get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
So what could I do to get their
Right. Yeah. No. And then,
Oh,
of
well,
course,
I could please and appease for sure. Don't rock the boat. Just do anything and everything for them. hmm So that's one way that it could look. And again, it could look like what I said before, someone that needs to be the one in control. So here you are, a woman that wants to be more taken care of, more in your feminine, and receive more, but you can't seem to trust and let go of that control.
mm-hmm.
Or you're someone that's just like so scared of it that you always run, that you're the runner, you're the avoidant, you can't commit. It's too scary, it's too much. You don't know how to be with the energy. You tend to dissociate from yourself and your body and not even be present and check out in some way.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I all of these are sounding familiar to me.
Yeah.
Um, and are there specific love scripts that come from our mom versus our dad that are not helpful?
Well, again, mom representing an extension of self. She's really your love script for your self-love, for your foundation. And honestly, in my opinion, that is where relationships begin. If you don't have that solid, healthy relationship with yourself, your self-talk, your self-love, your nurturance, your patience, your ability to be with yourself, to tend to emotions that come up for you, to be your biggest cheerleader and inner best friend. Like, how do you expect? And people do expect, I did until I unlearned this. We expect somebody else to love us. I just want him to love me. Why won't anyone love me? Why am I not enough? And it's like, well, do you love you?
Mm-hmm.
So when I work with a client or a couple, like I have a couple that just started working with me today, actually, and they want to work on improving their marriage and how they engage with each other in their marriage and their communication and all that. I'm like, great. Well, just so you know, for the next at least 6 weeks of our work together, it's going to be the individual. We're not even touching the conversation of the other. You need to establish a new foundation of your relationship to yourself with yourself.
Exactly.
Because if you don't have you, how can you go out into the world and know that you're going to be okay? Because the world isn't always going to be loving, kind, generous, accepting. Not every person you meet is going to be a yes to loving you and wanting to go out with you or date you, right? And so
Exactly.
you got to feel that you can be out there and tell little Valerie or whoever your inner child is, let that little one know, like, I believe in you. I got you no matter what. No matter what, like I'm here for you. With that intact, when we have that so solid, not just in our mind, like looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, I'm here for you, but really knowing how to build and cultivate that safety inside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that, you can really approach being out in the world as your authentic self, as your higher self.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the way you described that, which is touching on the inner child work. So how can someone then begin to rewrite their love script, especially if they feel stuck in this recurring dynamic, of like, let's say, and, because this is something my husband and I are both familiar with. We both used to be codependent. And
Hmm.
we just like demanding that the other person give us, what we need rather than really being able to give it to ourselves. And there's been a healing journey that we both had to go through around that before we met, but then obviously still ongoingly, like the patterns reel their head. So I can very much relate to what you said. So, of course, I know what I do and what I teach, but I'm curious to hear what I know that you have your 5 stages of healing framework. And so, how can somebody begin to use that to rewrite their love script?
Yeah, totally. And I'm willing to give it. And I will say this, you don't need to do it alone. And you probably shouldn't do it alone. You probably should hire a coach to work with because these big parts of your identity, you want to think of them as like main characters in the movie of your life with the script that you didn't write, the one that you inherited.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to exile them, remove them from the script, and they're the like superstars, they're not going to go down without a fight.
Right.
And you may not be ready to let them go because they've protected you so well. They've been your safety for so long. So I will definitely give the steps here, and it's okay to be guided and get support. It really is, and it's actually necessary for all of us in this day and time to use all the resources that are available to us with Zoom and all the things that are available that weren't 30, 40 years ago to be the ones. So I will caveat with saying that.
Yes.
And um, you know, there are stages to healing. And I say this from being someone who's been in the industry for 20 years. And spending years of it, my early years of it, seeking the tools that get to the root and not realizing that I was just in stage one. Stage one being awareness. You can become aware of your, your protectors and your defenses and your patterns, and it's important to become aware of all that stuff and how you avoid yourself. And you could read all the books and listen to all the great podcasts like this one. But having awareness now took you from being someone who's been living in survival to now managing your life. And managing is worse. It's like you have to keep managing the garden, keep managing, keep. But if you don't have the right tool, if you're not going deep enough, you're just at awareness. Awareness is the surface. Yeah, it is just what you could see, right? Just what you have awareness of. But that is the beginning stage. And a lot of times, what leads people to listen to shows like this or to even hire a coach is like, I'm aware that, I want more in my marriage with my partner and I'm not happy enough. Okay, cool. Great. And here's what I do want. And just saying that that's what you want, like, oh, well, my friend, she's got a better marriage. Like, I want to be more like that is not enough. Wanting it is not enough. And the reason for that we can't just tell ourselves, well, stop being that way, start being this way, which by the way is what the self-development, a lot of the self-development work 20 years ago when I started, that's what was available.
Totally.
It was mindset work and a little bit of NLP, but it was like, oh, this is who this is who I've been acting as. Well, I'm going to create this new way of being. I want to be this person instead. And it was like, I declared it, so I'm there.
It's kind of like that Bob Newhart skit where, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like this woman, he pretends to be a therapist, and this woman comes to him and she's like, I'm scared about being buried alive in a box. And he's like, stop it, just stop it. And that's all he does.
Yes, I have seen it. Yeah, so here's the reason why it doesn't work. Because your nervous system responds 10 times faster than your conscious mind does.
Right.
In 0.2 seconds, your nervous system is responding. In 2 seconds, it reaches your conscious awareness, and then you're like, oh, maybe I should do this or do that. And so if it's just a good idea and a good thought in your mind, like, well, I want to stop being a people pleaser. I want to start to assert my boundaries. I'm going to start asserting my boundaries. And then there you are the next day pleasing again. Shit, why did I do that again? Because that's what's programmed into your nervous system. So we have to go deeper than awareness. We have to connect to the nervous system to start to really be able to move through. So this is the discovery of stage one, and it's valuable. And then stage two is acceptance. And acceptance is accepting whatever energy, whatever emotion, feeling you are experiencing. It's also accepting what happened. What happened 5 minutes ago, what happened, or 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whenever the thing that triggered you happened, and the feeling that brings up, accepting it without judgment. Nothing to change, nothing to fix. There's actually nothing wrong. This is just what's arising in your system, and learning to accept it and observe it with loving curiosity and compassion. And so to me, this is the stage that is very somatic. Mm-hmm. It is learn how to really move the energy, how to feel the feeling. And Valerie, what I've discovered in my own personal experience in years now of working with clients is that most adults aren't feeling a feeling. We've forgotten how to feel. Mm-hmm. We are thinking about what we're feeling. We are judging it. We're running from it. We're stuffing it down. We're numbing it. We're intellectualizing it. We're questioning it. We're doing anything but actually expressing and feeling it.
Absolutely.
And so what this has created is a society of a bunch of people that have desensitized their nervous system. Because if you're not feeling it and you're judging it, you're questioning it, or anything like that, then you are signaling to your nervous system that something is wrong, that this is a threat.
Hmm.
And your nervous system's always working for you. Always. Thank God.
Right.
Thank God. But it's always listening for safety or threat. And
Exactly.
when it senses safety, it will learn and metabolize and move forward and expand. When it senses threat, it'll put you in fight, flight, freeze, or please.
Hmm.
And most of us these days are not dealing with real threats. We're not, thousands of years ago being chased by a tiger.
Right.
It's not a threat. We have created certain emotions that aren't bad or negative. They're actually just low energy or unpleasant. We've created them as a threat.
Right.
Saying,
Exactly.
oh my God, why do I feel this way? I don't want to feel this way. Oh gosh, why do I feel this way? And then we're just analyzing it or judging it. And so right there, we aren't feeling it, and our nervous system is busy working to protect us from it. And people are literally stuck in this, to use a, real term, sympathetic state, stuck in their nervous system being heightened all the time.
Hmm. Exactly.
And, and
Especially in New York City. um,
yeah.
but also, I mean,
And
just anywhere in Western industrialized culture.
yeah. And so who's running the show of their life is not them. They're in the back seat or sometimes the trunk. When you're really disconnected, your inner child, when you're really disconnected from it, you're really not listening, that child's in the trunk.
Right.
And how do I know if my child's in the trunk, my inner child's in the trunk? If you tell me that you're depressed, you're in the trunk. That depressed is deep rest. And
Hmm.
what your nervous system is wanting deep rest from is the character that you told it needs to play to survive. And it's just exhausted playing someone that it's not.
Wow.
And you're not hearing yourself. But otherwise, you're not in the driver's seat. Who is in the driver's seat are your bodyguards.
Hmm.
Thank God for the bodyguards. Again. Thank God for all these. And your bodyguards are there to protect you when you don't know how to tend to your inner child.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
great, but
And
it's still not you.
right.
Going back to that need to be codependent with others. That's the bodyguard. The one that wants to control everything, the one that feels everything needs to be perfect. Those are all not you, traits of the bodyguards. And by the way, there's beautiful gifts that these bodyguards have, but you can only tap into the gifts if you're the one in the driver's seat and they're in the back seat.
Exactly.
That's the ultimate goal. So, how do we get to getting back in control? Is stage two, first and foremost, is the acceptance, is the learning to work with our nervous system by feeling actually what is coming up for us. Think of it like having an ocean of your emotions. We all have an ocean of our emotions, and you get in the water. And some people don't even want to get in the water. They're that disconnected from their body. So first, you have to learn to feel safe to get in the water again, which means to get back into your body, to feel safe enough to be in your body. And one of the key ways to do that is deep breathing. Taking those deep breaths. Inhale for four count. Call it box breathing. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4.
Hmm. Yes.
You do a bunch of those, you're going to start to get back into your body. I have a free guide on this called Cultivating Safety on my website, where you can be guided through this journey of cultivating safety. I call it like let's get the wetsuit on. right? In a lot of oceans, it's too cold to just go in with a bathing suit. Get the wetsuit on, right? Add that safety in. But now you're in the ocean. Can you control the waves, Valerie?
Of course not.
No. So, but here we are thinking we can control our emotions, being like, why do I feel this way? I don't want to feel this way. Why am I annoyed? Why am I sad? Why am I still sad? I don't want to feel this way. It's like looking at a wave and saying, why are you 3 feet high? I only want.
That's a really good
And
analogy.
then a second later, you get smacked with it.
Right.
And then you still have to face it. And so that's what most of us are doing. Instead of learning to get on the board and ride the wave.
Mm-hmm.
When you ride the wave, it doesn't last forever. And
Exactly.
either that wave brings you all the way to shore or it crashes and then there's another wave. So I know I've seen this many times that if you spent your life avoiding an emotion, avoiding a feeling, or avoiding all your feelings, the amount of effort and work that that takes will make you think that if you actually allow yourself to feel it, that you'll need to feel it for 30 years, that it's never going to end. When in truth, they've done studies on this, that an emotion can move through you in 90 seconds
Yep.
if you're not judging it or stuffing it down or running from it. 90 seconds. So this is what there is to do in stage 2, is learn to ride the wave in 90 seconds. Well, what is it to actually surf those emotions, feel those feelings? If you ever watch a 3-year-old feel a feeling, what do you see?
They're very, very, very expressive for like a short amount of time. And then, I mean, obviously, like there's things you could do to make it go longer. Um, but if you use the tools in like, let's say, how to talk so little kids listen and validate the feeling and hold
Mhm.
them while they go through it, which is what you're talking about doing for yourself, then they get it out of their system and then they're laughing, like 10 minutes
Exactly.
later.
Exactly. Exactly. So you said the key word. They are very expressed, meaning they're not just sitting there and saying, Mommy, I am sad. And I don't know why I'm sad. There is some body language response, facial expression, and sound that is being emoted. Now, here we are as adults, keeping it all together. We're not expressing, we're suppressing.
Mm-hmm.
So to ride the wave is to express again, to express the way a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old, whatever, expresses it. So imagine that you were an actor going for a role that required you to play a character that was very disheartened. Everybody trying out has the same script, the same words. What's going to make the difference is your ability to act it out, to express it. And so this is how I train my clients. I was like, imagine you're trying out for that. And there's $1 million contract on the line. If I told you I'd give you $1 million to act out feeling disheartened or annoyed or alone or lonely or angry, yeah, how expressive would you go? And this is what it is, to use our full body to express, to give all your energy, set a timer, 90 seconds, give all your energy in those 90 seconds to that being expressed. 90 seconds is a long time for us adults.
It is. It is. Although,
It is, but
what if like there's other people that you live with? You don't want to just like scream for 90 seconds. Do you recommend
well,
people to a
it's
pillow
not
or
always, yes, and it's not always extreme. And that's the thing, is our emotional vocabulary is very limited. So people assume angry, sad, happy, horny, anxious, which to me, anxious isn't even a feeling. It's a running from a feeling.
yeah, anxiousness is fear about the future, so it's more a thought process.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, let me run from what I think I'm going to have to experience.
Mhm.
So using something, you guys can all Google this, called the mood meter. It's from Yale University, and it's for to expand your emotional vocabulary.
I
So
like that.
you may default saying I'm sad, but if you look at it on the mood meter, the chart, you'll see that around the word sad, there's other ones. There's disheartened, discouraged, lonely. Find the accurate one,
Right.
because how you would express sad versus disheartened versus lonely would be subtly, slightly different. So that's first, right? And then, yes, you may not always want to do it in public. Well, yeah, you don't pop a squat and pee and poop in public, do you? No, you excuse yourself to a bathroom behind a stall and you do what you need to do. So we got no excuse, right? You could always go to the bathroom, even if you're out in public at a restaurant and you're at dinner with your boyfriend and he says something and it upsets you. You excuse yourself to the bathroom and you go in the stall and you don't give a shit what the person next to you thinks. Or if they're like, "Are you okay?" You say, "Yup," and that's it.
Right, which is why you need to have a lot of self-acceptance, like you're talking about.
Exactly. Like, yep, I'm just tending to a child. If you were at a restaurant and your child started screaming and crying, you would probably either go outside with that child or you'd go to the bathroom.
Right.
Same thing. So, yes, nurturing yourself. And for those 90 seconds, you imagine and physically do this. Don't just imagine it actually, but the facial expression of someone that feels that way, how the body language, the sounds that you would emote, and you do your best for 90 seconds to let that be expressed. And in that time, what you're doing is that you're retraining your nervous system to recognize this frequency, because your emotions are just energy in motion or not in motion, right? Just a frequency. It's sensation. You're retraining your nervous system for what it is, so that next time it arises, it knows it's safe to experience this and it will metabolize it for you quicker. And that's how you build your capacity to handle more emotions. So it's not you're never going to feel that again. It's you're going to feel it so much that it's just going to become normal and okay, and not you resisting it for 10 days, but you actually feeling it for 90 seconds and it's over and it's done.
Right, exactly. And what I find, like when I do this kind of practice with myself, is that it's not until I feel the emotion as a sensation in my body that I know what I need and that I know
Yeah,
the way out. It's like you can't find the way out from your head. You have to feel it.
exactly. Exactly. That's going to regulate you back to, because again, when you're in that survival state, you're not, you're losing consciousness. You are single focused on surviving.
Right.
So, if you're running from a tiger, you're not like, what do I want to make for dinner tonight? Or do I want to write this book tomorrow? You're not thinking. You're just in that survival state. So, yeah, when your partner says, "What do you need? What's going on?" I don't know. Exactly. You don't know.
Right.
You need to just go and tend to that
Right.
100%. And underneath that first initial emotion that you identify and express for 90 seconds, there may be another one. So at the end of that timer, 90 seconds, you get to check in. What am I feeling now? Oh, underneath this heart end was loneliness.
Mhm.
Okay, let me feel that. Underneath that was frustration, until you feel that you've come to a place of openness and peacefulness. And even at that point, can you be with that? Because some people are not only running away or afraid of the low energy, you know, unpleasant, quote unquote, emotion, but it's the pleasant high energy ones too.
Mhm. Right.
allow
We
yourself to
feel
feel happy?
guilty allowing ourselves to feel happy. Exactly.
Yeah, can you allow yourself now to bathe in 90 seconds of happiness? Set a timer and allow yourself to like really get ushy gushy.
Totally. Yeah. No, I mean, that can be extremely healing. And then, of course, what about if the emotion is around a situation that hasn't been resolved, so you don't feel happy yet?
Yeah, but there's a level of at least inner peace and inner happiness, and happiness is an inner game. There may not be resolution, but then there's safety and certainty in your system that you can now, let's say you get into, I remember years ago, my husband and I got into disagreement, and I just knew, like, I started saying stuff, and he's like, "You're all over the place. You're not making sense. You sound crazy." It's basically what he said to me. And I go, "Okay, clear indication. I'm not grounded right now." I left the room, went to excuse myself and tend to myself. Started to cry and feel. Then I noticed myself grabbing my phone, going to Instagram and scrolling because believe me, the safety strategies will still want to arise. And they mean like, no, 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 put that down. Let's actually feel what is there. Felt through it, grabbed my journal, dumped it out, and was able to get to clarity,
Right.
to
Exactly.
calm my system down and be so clear that I got back out to the living room and could have a grounded conversation with him of what upset me and what I needed.
Exactly. Yeah. So
What I
it's not
needed.
like the problem solved, but you feel clearer about how what you need
Hmm.
and trusting that there's a way to get it.
Yeah. And most importantly, you're back in your higher self.
Hmm.
You're not defaulting to fighting, freezing, fleeing, or pleasing, right? Some people in a fight, they're going to get forceful. Some are going to be just nonstop wanting to talk and make sure that they have the upper hand. And then you get the people that are going to apologize when it's not really their fault. You don't want to act from any of those because it's
Right.
not really going to give you the true resolution.
Right.
So the key is tending to yourself. So this is stage two, right? This is accepting, feeling the sensations, riding the wave of the emotion, and we're in learning to strengthen our nervous system to have more capacity, more range in whatever it triggers within us. Whatever sensation is there, hmm, I could be with that. Now you've handled the body, the somatic part. And a lot of people can get to this with doing breath work and things like that. It doesn't have to look like what I described. That being said, it's not enough because on a subconscious level, there's a belief that was there that created this whole experience. And so now this is stage three, getting to the root
Hmm.
of what, who modeled this to me? Where did I learn that others don't listen to me? Because I keep saying to my partner, like, I just don't feel heard. No one listens to me. No one cares what I have to say. So I have to get louder and yell. Where did I learn this? What's at the root of this? And this is the exploration in stage three. Like, who modeled this to me? Is this mom's energy, dad's energy? And finding a, a memory or an imagined memory of when you experienced that and learning to reparent, to give yourself what you needed in that moment.
Hmm. Right. And you mean through your imagination, through a visualization? Obviously, if it's love or attunement, then you can give that to yourself experientially.
Yeah. So again, all if it's mother learning related, then the reparenting of it is yes, is giving it to yourself as if mom was giving it to you. Right. And that's stage four, rewiring and reparenting. If it's father related, it's a little different. And it's something that you have to have that solid foundation of your relationship with yourself before you even touch anything related to others and father. The reason is that it's bigger waves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're going to learn to surf, you're not going to go to Bali and surf the big kahunas. Or I think there's a place in Portugal too that has huge waves. You're not going to go there your first time.
Right.
You're going to start with a small wave somewhere in like the Atlantic Ocean, like Miami or something, baby waves, or maybe sometimes San Diego. That's what you're going to do. And so the smaller waves are mom related because it's all like things that you needed from her nurturance wise that you didn't get, that now all you need is just to give that to yourself. But father represents the heart. Father was the first love of your life, and he either lived up to it or he broke your heart. And so I see this time and time again when people get to the father stuff, it is more emotional. It
Mm-hmm.
is big emotion. There's a lot of grief there or a lot of anger there because in some way he let you down.
Mm-hmm.
He broke your heart. And so to have the capacity to ride those bigger waves, you got to you got to build your nervous system to that. You got to know that you're going to be there for yourself no matter what. And a lot of the reparenting of father is allowing yourself to really feel that grief or anger or whatever, those bigger emotions. You got to hold yourself through those.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reparenting of it is usually out in the world. It's not at home with yourself.
Right. I imagine that it's about first, of course, learning how to feel those feelings and express them and release them and unburden your body of them. And then it's about working with your beliefs, like you said, so that you create positive beliefs about what it's like to be with other people, something that's healthy and harmonious. But then of course, you're going to bump up against the old programming when you're out with other people, and then you have to know how to then
Well,
parent yourself through that.
it's about vulnerability. When you have a broken heart, right? When dad breaks your heart and you never face that stuff, you're approaching the world from a place of the world's not safe and I just don't want to get my heart broken again.
Mm-hmm.
And so in some way it keeps you from playing big in your life.
Or I
And
imagine
from
it's the other way, like you're talking about rebelling, that it's like, nobody can get to me, I'll be successful, right? Like
yes,
to heal the
exactly.
shame of the
Yes.
other one.
Yes. All both lack vulnerability.
Right.
The living from a heart place. One is like the big ego, like I'm just gonna like be better than everyone. I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna be the best. Completely disconnected from the heart.
Right.
And the other one is disconnected from the heart because the heart it would be too painful to be connected to it.
Right.
And so when you allow yourself to feel through the hurt or the grief of whatever happened, a lot of times it's abandonment or some kind of hurt in that way that has people become aggressive and competitive and all that. Or the other one, of the heartbroken that has people feel more like shame and collapsed and incapable and small and defeated. And when you finally feel through all that, you heal your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that you can step out into the world living with your heart open again, because worst case happens, somebody disappoints you and breaks your heart. And what do you now know to be true? I can heal it. And I've got me no matter what. And I believe in me no matter what. I'm here for me no matter what. So that there's more courage to step out into the world and be yourself and lead with vulnerability and lead with an open heart. And that action, the way you then approach your marriage or a relationship, is going to be different and is therefore going to create different results. That no matter what the result is, good or bad, you now know I can handle it. Once you learn to surf the big waves, you're like, I can surf big waves. I'm no longer afraid. And that's why it's so important that we learn the smaller waves first. And then we go out there and it's like, okay, worst case scenario, I just have to Feel this again? Oh, I had felt the worst of the worst. Okay, no problem. And you see people that go through this now live life playing a bigger game, more courage. I've had clients file for divorce that needed to leave that person, have the courage for that. I've had clients step into proposing after their partner's been waiting for years and years because they finally have the courage. I've had clients step down as CEOs of companies because they saw, oh my God, that was my ego that wanted this. My heart does not want to work here and do this at all. There's just more courage. Live
Yeah.
from the heart.
Yeah. That's the root word of courage is _cœur, which is
Yeah,
heart.
exactly.
So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, um, healing that heart, and the way to heal it is to feel it, but what is there are the bigger emotions, so you have to build your capacity for it. Don't don't finish listening to this podcast and think you could go delve into that unless you know that you've already been working on establishing that relationship with that inner child that has been in the trunk or the back seat. You let them out. If you had a child in the trunk for years and years and you open that trunk up, you think that child's going to run over to you and be like, hi,
Right. Of course.
puppy? No, they're going to slowly crawl out. They're going to look at you. They're going to question, can I trust you? So it takes some time to rebuild that trust with yourself. To know that like you are going to honor you and be there for you no matter what.
Exactly. And as you said, it helps to have a guide through this process because when we're really stuck
Absolutely.
in it, then,
If
it's
you're really
difficult to know
serious,
how to work your way out, or work your way through rather.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, it's a dark tunnel in there. And the light at the end of the tunnel are those light workers that have been through it. So do yourself a favor. When you're really serious, find the guide, right? Hire the guide. Yeah. So lastly, integration is stage
Mhm.
5. And integration is the most important stage. They are all important, but it's where lasting transformation happens. And integration is the longest stage, on average, 18 months. And this isn't something I made up. This is something that my mentor, who was a body mind psychologist, he passed away, but he was a body mind psychologist for 45 years. So he'd seen this enough times. And he's like, on average, you're looking at 18 months to stabilize a new way of being. You want to go from being a people pleaser to someone that really asserts their boundaries and has a voice. It's about an 18-month journey. You see it as like a bridge that you're crossing from an old version of you to a new version of you.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And that bridge isn't when you're driving across that's solid like the San Diego, San Francisco Bridge or any of those, George Washington Bridge. It's like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. One of those bridges that you have to walk across that's wobbly, that has some holes. And um, so that's the journey, meaning there are going to be moments that you're going to have a setback or that you're not going to feel strong and you're going to run towards the closest end, which for the first 4 or 5 months is going to be the old version of you.
Right.
So, um, a lot of times I think people don't give themselves enough space and grace in this stage that when they see themselves reverting back, they think that there's something more to fix. And
Right.
so they'll go dig again. And I'm like, no, no, no. There isn't more digging to do. You planted the seed. It's just that, just like nature, you plant a seed, it's not bearing you fruit the next day.
Right.
It needs to germinate before it sprouts, before it grows, before it, has the ability to grow fruit or flowers. And so giving ourselves that same grace. And it's not a matter of will I fall back? It's a question of how quickly can you recognize it because you will fall back and give yourself love and grace in that moment and get back on track.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I totally agree that the process takes that long. I mean, I've seen it myself as well. And I think what helps people the most is just being inspired by stories. So, do you want to share a case study about somebody who started out in these old patterns and 18 months later that, well, the integration phase is the integration
Yeah,
phase
yeah,
18 months or is the whole process 18 months?
yeah, yeah. Um, Again, it's on average, and from when you heal or move through. So there's constant new 18 months being started as you're healing different things. But I had a client about, gosh, how many years ago has it been now? 20, 2018? Yeah. Beginning of September 2018, came to work with me, and she had been married for 10 years, 8 years at that point, and very codependent, like didn't even know how to manage money. Helped her husband with his business. He owned a gym and a food delivery business, catering business, and was very like all about getting it right, getting it perfect, like super rigid. And we cracked that dam. He actually felt the feeling. And like once that dam was cracked, there was no going back. And suddenly, like, she started to know what it is to connect and to feel her emotions and to tend to herself instead of always giving that away to her husband or others or being the person that has to be perfect and keep it all together. And, when she met him, she was still in college. And by the time she worked with me, she was like 28, 29. And so she'd never really been on her own. And a year later, she told him that she wanted to separate, that she wanted to discover herself. She wanted to know that she could take care of herself. And she saw how codependent the relationship was. He played the role of the savior. She was the damsel in distress.
Mhm.
Now the damsel in distress saved herself, so she no longer needed that savior. And he was controlling too. Like he loved being the savior, but it was also because he got to control everything.
Right.
And ended up and ended up moving to a new city, to Austin, all on her own, and going from not knowing what the heck she was doing, how she was going to make money, to, doing really well for herself in the first year, to filing for divorce, to learning what it is to be a single woman again, to 2 years later meeting her now fiance, who treats her like a queen, literally. And at the same time, she knows how to treat herself that way. She knows how to stand for herself. And she has her own business now. She's actually writing a book, and she teaches women how to, express themselves through storytelling and through writing. And she's just night and day, not the same person she was 10
Right.
years before.
Amazing.
Um, and so like that's what's possible. And by the way, her ex-husband ended up meeting his new person and, getting married and having a baby. So sometimes that marriage it served the purpose it did. It's not meant to be forever, but they both found their forever person. And that forever person is themselves, right? Like your
Right.
forever person is you. When you have that and you realize that love and happiness is an inner game, you will attract that match of that's going to mirror the same to you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, no, I love that story. And then of course, I'm sure because this interview is, we could keep going, but we should probably bring it to a close since it's been an
Yeah.
hour already. But, I'm sure you have other case studies of people who did this work and then their marriage got stronger. So, I don't want to let
Yes.
people think that it leads
No.
us to breaking up. It's like,
Yeah.
it's about being authentic. And if we're
Hmm.
married to somebody who also cares about being authentic, then it could be this much
Oh
deeper
yeah.
connection.
Plenty of weddings. I've been invited to marriages that have been saved, babies that have been born. So plenty of that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to leave people on a positive note in both
Oh
directions.
yeah.
But
Yeah. And
I
by the way, that first one is still positive because they're not alone. They just found more of someone that was a match for their true self.
Yes, yes, of course. Yeah, I wasn't meaning to imply that that was bad. It's more like I think people are scared of change in general. And it's not about, this isn't about changing your circumstances. It's about going inward and becoming authentic. And then if your circumstances don't match your authenticity, then it's about changing the situation. But, I just wanted to say that because it's not like, we don't go outward first. Like you said, you go inward first. And then what's authentic
Exactly.
emerges is what it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And so I think that you have a wonderful free gift. You talked about your guided meditation. I know that you have one as a free gift. It's called Cultivating Safety, a guided meditation to rewire for love. And so that is about, I imagine, that first stage of going inward and accepting your own and being aware and accepting your own feelings. That's what I imagine it is. So, of course, feel free to talk about
It's getting that wetsuit on. It's learning just how to breathe in a way that keeps you in your body and how to start to scan your body for sensations. It's literally just like get the wetsuit on and start to dip your feet, get back in your body, back in the water, feeling the temperature, feeling all the sensations. And then that's it. And then, riding the wave is just expressing it like a 2-year-old.
Yes,
In
exactly.
the mood meter. Yeah.
In a way that's safe. And I love that. I mean, I encourage people to like, um, you know, just either cry or just emote or beat pillows or whatever you need to do as well. And I think that emotions are physical and we can't heal them unless we're getting into our body. So I love that that's what your meditation is about, like making a safe space in order to really feel your feelings with self-compassion. So that's the name of the game here.
Yep, exactly.
So this has just been such a joy to talk about because it's one of my favorite topics, really, is doing the deep inner work. And, because that is, of course, as my podcast describes, that it's about developing that mind, body, spirit connection with yourself first, that we are our first relationship. And then, of course, having the courage to go out and be authentic with others. So I love that that's what your 5 stages accomplish. And of course, as you said, it's not easy to do on our own. So I will put the link to your meditation under this interview, and then I'll also put your website where people can learn more about you because I know that you work with people one-on-one as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do take excuse me, take on a few one-on-one clients. I also have a group program, my inner child program, the Soul Collective. So you get to heal collective and group. You still get one-on-one with me, just in a group capacity and amazing modules to support. And then those that want to learn how to facilitate the method, I have a certification program. So
Yeah.
and then I hang out on Instagram. So that's where I put out my content. And if you follow me there, you'll get a DM from me within a week because I love getting to know the human behind the follower and really seeing, how I can guide you, whether it's to something free or a referral or something I have to offer.
Yeah, beautiful. So I love that. I will definitely put your info below the video or in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast, because it sounds like you have a lot of free resources and inspirations. And so I definitely want everybody to learn about your work because it is just in today's day and age so important that we all have whatever guides and mentors that we resonate with to support us in going inward and discovering our authenticity because the world is not getting any simpler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So I hope everyone has a day filled with that self compassion and self love. And until next time.